A common problem for leaders worldwide is that they often hit that glass ceiling within their current organization. Additionally, many leaders have the hunger to move forward in gaining more responsibilities and a larger number of subordinates to lead. However, the problem that they often run into is getting found by organizations looking for their skill sets. This is where the services of a recruiter can come in, where they can connect you with the right organization. Also, the inverse situation is possible, where you are the leader looking to fill a vacancy. Either way, this is where my guest Brianna Rooney comes in. During today's podcast episode, Brianna and I discuss leadership lessons which she has learned during her journey, the hardest challenge she faced to get Techees up and going, how leaders can get promoted within their organization, how leaders can get recognized by recruiters, characteristics leaders should look for in a recruiter, and how leaders can use recruiters to fill positions within their organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, episode 79, Getting Found with the $1 Million Recruiter, Brianna Rooney. Welcome all to the Move Forward Leadership Podcast. It's great to have you here. It's Scott McCarthy, your Chief Leadership Officer, and I am happy to have you back. Today, we're going to continue with a little bit of a theme as of late, and that is basically how you, the leader, can get noticed, how you, the leader, can expand and move forward in your career, because often, not always, but often, that is on our agenda, right? But before I dive into introducing today's guest, I guess I should introduce you, the show, because heck, maybe this is your first time listening to the show. Anyway, you've come across a leadership show revolving around you, the leader. We are all about making better leaders, not more bosses, because you know what? We got enough bosses in this world, right? And we don't need any more. So I'm here with my 20-odd years of leadership experience, the bulk of which come out of the Canadian Army as a senior officer, and I go out and find world-class guests like Brianna today in helping you become the best leader that you can be. So that's the show. That's me. And before I dive into talking about who Brianna is in today's episode, I'm going to ask you where you're at with your goals for this year. Because by now, I guarantee you, most of you, sorry to say, but most of you have probably failed your goals. It's May at the time of this launch of the podcast episode. And by May, most people have failed on their goals. And you know what? I guess you can take refuge in knowing that you're just like most other people. But you aren't like most other people, are you? You're a leader. You look to expand your knowledge, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So if you need help with goal setting, I am here to tell you that I am here to help you with that. If you go to movingforwardleadership.com/power, you're going to be brought to the Power Goals program landing page. And in this program, I'm going to talk to you about which goals, to help you figure out which goals are important to you, figure out how you go about achieving those goals, how you can actually go about planning and executing, and how to recover when you fail and fall down, and how you reflect properly on your achievement and how to track if you actually are achieving your goals or not. And those are just some of the tidbits. So if you just go to movingforwardleadership.com/power, and that will bring you to the landing page. And just a heads up, there is early bird pricing on right now, because I just literally, as of a week ago, launched this program. So between now and the 15th of June, 2019, you're going to have early bird pricing, significantly discounted around 55%, but that will go up as of 15th June. That will go up to much higher number. Anyway, it behooves you to check out the site and check out the program. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message. I'm here to answer and let you know. Okay? All right, again, that's movingforwardleadership.com/power. All right, and enough of the marketing. Let's get to the goods, and let's get to the subject of the day. So Brianna is a fierce, passionate, money-motivated entrepreneur. She owns Techees, which is a very successful recruiting firm for the past 8.5 years. So she is from the Silicon Valley. She is from the Bay Area. So guess what? Knowing that she actually has survived for 8.5 years, that means that her leadership and most importantly, her business is thriving. So that's why I've reached out to get Brianna on the show. She takes pride with a creative personal touch. She now trains people as well to do the same thing with her own program, the $1 Million Recruiter. Brianna knows what organizations look for and what leaders need to show off in order to be spotted by the recruiters out there. So if you're in that situation where you have hit the glass ceiling of your organization, or you're thinking of making a jump or a change, and you want to get the attention by a recruiter, or you're just like me saying, hey, you know what? I'm open to the potential all the time, then this episode is for you. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy my interview discussing how you can get found with the $1 Million Recruiter, Brianna Rooney. Brianna, welcome to Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, after a couple of little hiccups and about a dozen emails back and forth, the life of That's a podcaster, right. But here we are.
Very cool.
So one of the things I like to do with my show at the beginning is get the guests, just give a little quick Coles Notes about themselves, where they came from and how they got to where they are today. And just general. Feel free to gloat a bit if you want.
Sure. That's the fun part, right?
Exactly.
All that I've accomplished. I mean, how much time do you have? So I am 34 years young. I have 2 kids, 2 little ones, 2 and 5. And I have had my recruiting business now for, it will be 10 years, mid-June. So super excited about that.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I have now 12 employees. And we actually just doubled in size in January, and we'll probably do it again in a couple months. So that's exciting. And gosh, where am I going? Oh, I have a husband, has a restaurant, has opened the restaurant on my due date of our first child. So that was super fun. And I mean, it's like crazy life just with kids in general. And so add a couple businesses to it, and it's like, ooh, super fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I got 2, as we were talking before I hit record here, I got 2 young ones myself, and I go full time. I do this on the side, plus my wife works full time, but she's actually on maternity leave right now.
Oh, nice. Good for her.
Up here in Canada, we get we get a year, or you can go up to 18 months worth of maternity leave. So she's taking.
That is just, I seriously can't even imagine. That's amazing. There's something very wrong with our country.
So I don't fully feel your pain, but at the same time, I do feel your pain with the chaos that life brings us, right?
Yes,
so,
sure.
One of the first things you hinted at there is that you have your own business. You've set it up 10 years ago, and now you're up to 12 employees, and you just doubled in size. So as a business owner and entrepreneur, what are some of the key leadership lessons you've learned in your journey that people can, you can give to some people out there?
That I definitely have a lot of. I would say first and foremost, you go with your gut. All the time, every time. I involved a lot of people in decisions that they didn't need to be involved in. And I thought it was, bringing like camaraderie together, and everyone's like, oh, I want everyone a part of the company and the growth and, stuff like that. And that's just a really bad idea. I learned the hard way there, so I'll never do that again. And I think, I did have a business partner at first. And so about almost 3 years ago, bought him out. Fantastic move. So business partner, you definitely have to think twice on. And, it wasn't all bad. Obviously, we were together for 7 years, but it's hard. It's another marriage. So it's something you have to really take on and know what you're getting yourself into. And the communication has to be there. And, the list goes on and on. So that was a biggie. And then also hiring. Hiring's so important. It's funny because I'm a recruiter. You would think I would know how to hire best, right? But, it's a beast to handle. Employees are not easy. That's the hard part, right? And that's the part that you have to get over and grow. And there's a couple humps. I've been big before as far as how many people I have, but I had that with my business partner. And that's the part that I was saying that I let decisions go when I didn't feel great about it. And that includes hiring. And so, won't do that again. I have some key amazing employees in place that are going to help. But at the end of the day, they know that it's my decision. So it's worked out.
Now, I like that. I like that whole ideology. My mentality is I bring people in to inform me, give me the information. Feel free to give me their opinions, but at the end of the day, it is my decision. It's my call to make as I run my organization. So I didn't actually get this. I usually do this in the preamble before we even hit record, but my background is actually I'm a Canadian Army officer, senior Canadian Army officer, and my last job, I commanded a squadron of 200 soldiers. So,
jeez.
So when you're talking,
just a small thing, right?
it is. It's a small unit in retrospect, but still, all the principles remain the same. In leading people and listening to people and hiring and firing. And yes, I did it all in those two command there. So, it definitely is, it's a tough slog. And, but at the end of the day, it is the most rewarding thing you do, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, besides kids, but yeah, totally.
yeah. I meant work-wise. Sorry.
Yeah, no, work-wise. No, absolutely. You know, what's really exciting, for me, I've had some people with me for a long time. 8 years, 6 years, 5 years, 2 4s, so I have a really loyal, amazing crew. And, I've seen all of them be able to buy houses in the last couple of years, because of what we do and because of the mentorship and because of, the opportunities that I have here. And that is like the most rewarding thing ever.
Yeah.
And, absolutely. I have one last person who's actually house hunting this week. So I'm like, yeah, they're all that, like my core, my core crew, they all have houses and they're starting their lives. And it's awesome.
That's awesome. So that's all the great stuff. What has been some of the hardest things that you've gone through in getting your Techees, right? Your company?
Techees. Yeah. Techees recruiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I spoke of a little bit was, my business partner. That was a really, really, tough thing because it was something that I should have done a long time ago. But I am a very loyal person by nature. And so it was like, well, we started it together and, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll change or, whatever. But it's, you just have to like rip the Band-Aid off. So that was something that took me a really long time. And it took something big to happen for me to make me do that. But regardless, I did it and that was awesome. So it was really, really tough. And then at the same time, I also got rid of the people who I didn't originally want to hire in the first place. It just wasn't working out. And so, I cut the team in half and had those people. I said, hey, do you guys want to stay or do you want to leave? Because I'll get into it just a teens, but I basically waived the non-compete. And I said, go ahead, open up your own firm, take whoever you want. I let him have the floor at our company and I let him speak first. And I said, if you want to pitch, yourself and tell anyone that wants to join you, you be my guest, which was really scary. And I had to really believe, in myself and in my leadership and what I had already built in order to say that to him. And, what was great is the one that I wanted to stay stayed and 2 left, but I had already, in my mind been like, they're leaving. That's great. And it really worked out, but that was super hard. And I would say the hardest part actually was not going through that. It was actually the aftermath of it where, everything cleans up and it's like, whoa, it's me. So this whole time I thought, no, I can do this. I've been doing this myself this whole time, stuff like that. But it's like, was I pumping myself up or was I legit? So, it was just one of those things where it was a little somber. Like it was like, okay, we got all like the bad juju out. We're ready to go and we're ready to move forward. But can we? And it took probably like 6 months for me to feel comfortable because if we fail, it's because of me at that point. It's not because of, combinations of things, it's because of me. So it was a lot, I think, emotionally to handle.
Yeah, I could totally feel for you in that situation. Just that last bit that you said, it took you 6 months to feel comfortable. So I changed jobs every 2 years-ish, right? We change positions a lot. And I would tell you that is very normal. Very normal. So my piece of advice to you and everybody listening out there, you take over a job the first 6 months, like it's, you don't know what's going on. You really don't. You're trying to keep your head above water and figuring it out as you go along. And then as you 6 months period hits, then you get comfortable and you start pushing the envelope forward. And even on top of that, something which is completely odd in the military mindset, my first 3 months I put in with my closest people, my closest subordinates. So my second in command and my sergeant major. These are positions you probably don't even care about. But anyway, these are my two closest guys. And I tell them they have the veto right for the first 3 months, which is basically if I try to make a decision, change something, they can walk in my office, shut the door, say, hey, boss, vetoing that. And then they'll force me to think about it. Because the first 3 months, you don't know what the hell is going on. How can you make changes?
That's a good point.
When you don't understand what the heck, the history of everything going on. So no, for you and everybody else out there, 6 months, yeah, you definitely are just trying to survive.
Yeah, no, you know, what's funny is I didn't even realize that that's kind of, you know, how it is in recruiting. We have a couple, you know, we have a few milestones. You know, the first 6 weeks you can grasp and do the job correctly. But then it takes, then at 3 months, it's like, okay, well, you should have had some success by now. If not, we're going to reevaluate. And then, you're right. That 6 months is like that big, like, whoa moment. Like, I think I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So love the dovetail now. Let's go into the nuts and bolts of the conversation today. And really what I would love to get out of you is, you know, the best advice, the best tips out there for leaders. Because in my mind, the leaders who are listening to this podcast are trying to develop themselves, they're trying to grow. So they're hungry. They're chomping at the bit to get noticed, to get that promotion, whether that, you know, that may come internal, it may go external, but doesn't really matter, right? End of the day. So how can they, if they're looking on that external side, i.e. hoping to get recruited by someone or get noticed by the recruiting firm out there, how can they go about achieving that?
Well, those are kind of two separate things. Let's
do them.
If you're in your company and you want to get promoted within your company and you want to become that leader, you want to take that, you know, leadership step, it's all about being consistent. Because I see it all the time here. Like people are like, you know, they know that there's growth here, for example, and they're like, I really want to take that step. You know, we're in sales. So they're like, you know, I don't want to just eat what I kill. I want to, you know, move forward. I want to mentor. I want to lead. But it's like, okay, well then you have to be consistent. That's something that you want to do. And then why do you want to do it? So I think instead of being like, well, leadership's the next stage in my career, really sit down and say, why is that the next stage? Is it because you think you deserve it? Is it which is a whole other subject. Do you think you earned it? Or do you think it's just something you enjoy doing? If it's something you enjoy doing, then I think that then you should. Because I come across all the time, tons of people that say, okay, I'm leaving my current company because I want to be a manager. I'm like, great. Have you managed before? Nope. Okay. Well, let's get you some management experience first. And you're going to have to do that in-house because a lot of people aren't going to take a risk. Not to mention companies like to promote from within. So that's something, you know, everyone should, should be really, you know, knowledgeable about. So you have to have that conversation with your boss and you have to tell them why. I think that's very valid. And it's not just, well, it's this next stage of my career because that's kind of, you know, it's bogus. And you also have to prove it. And you can't just say, hey, I'm going to do it this 1 week and they're hopefully going to notice because that's not going to happen. And then you have to have other people notice because you're actually doing a good job, not because you're trying to be a show dog. Yeah. Because that's not what leadership is about either. I think leadership is about, you know, just bringing everybody up and mentoring in all sorts of different ways and not having to get recognized for it.
Those are some great points. And I like the whole consistency part. So just an example for myself, it took me to get promoted from captain to major, 3 years worth of evaluations, and they had to be 4 actually, and they had to be. You have to show 1 consistency and 2 consistent improvement. And they're looking. That's a good one. They're looking for that upward trend, right? So you have to be showing up to work every day and doing the best job you can do every day. But at the same time, you need to be continually developing your skills, getting new experiences, and all this jazz. And our process is very bureaucratic and very regulated. And there's 50 million other things that go along with it, but just on that scope, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a leadership also has to do a lot with personality, and that's kind of putting that smile on your face every single day, no matter what happens.
Even if it's the worst morning you woke up
Worst morning in the whole entire world. Here it comes. I'm walking through that door.
Your toddler's losing their mind. The other half doesn't want to look at you. Much like this morning, my 3.8-year-old didn't want to get out of bed. Daycare.
That's so funny. I have the complete opposite problem. Both of my kids, especially my 5-year-old, has always woken up at about 5 o'clock.
Oh.
And bright-eyed, bushy-tails, ready to go. And my 2-year-old becoming the same thing. I'm like, all right, it is what it is.
Yep.
I'm off to the gym.
But yet you got to put that smile on your face and go in and at least have a cup of coffee downrange before you start tackling anything, right? So you said earlier that was my earlier question was basically 2 parts. So we talked about the internal process. Let's talk about the external of getting, so let's say someone has gone into a leadership role. They've managed, they've shown, they've committed and they're consistent and all that jazz. It's just, they basically hit the glass ceiling within their own internal organization. There's just no, for whatever reason, there's very little potential for them to move on. So they're actually looking outside now. So how can these people get the attention of recruiters so that they can get noticed and potentially move elsewhere?
LinkedIn. And LinkedIn's got this amazing new tool that hopefully everybody knows about, and it's the open opportunities. And what you do is, have you seen that, by the way? That exists? Okay, nice. So you put open opportunities, you can put exactly what you want, and it is not seen by the public.
Yep.
It's not seen by your company, that's illegal, and it's only seen by recruiters. So the moment, and also not to mention, your LinkedIn has to be your resume. That's exactly what it is. And there is no more building your resume in PDF or Word or whatever it is. There's no cover letter. It's your LinkedIn. And then if you do want to send out your resume, then you can just push this beautiful make your PDF resume on LinkedIn, and it just makes your resume. There is nothing more to do. So for me, I find a lot of amazing people through Open to Ops, because how can I not? They're just kind of like easy free leads at that point. You're not like hunting, you're hunting a little bit, but it's like pretty obvious, this is what this person wants. So that is key. And then, but having all those keywords on LinkedIn is very key too, even if you're not putting the open to ops. If you just don't want to do that, you don't want to get a ton of recruiters, but you have to have something that makes you tick, something that makes you real. And what I would suggest doing is, let's say you find your perfect job, or let's just say on the surface, where you work, your job description fits you like a T, or, in the organization or something, whatever. You have to find something that fits you, and you can mirror that. And as far as keywords, and make sure that's on your LinkedIn or resume. And that will just alert so many people that you'll be surprised how little work you actually have to do. And I never, ever suggest a full-blown saying, I'm looking for a job, because it's just kind of like a stinky cologne. For some reason, it just, it just comes across as desperate, even though you might not be desperate. Maybe you're just interested and you're like motivated to look. It's totally different. Once you send your resume, what happens now, especially since, the unemployment rate is just so low, it's so hard to find people. It's just going into, a black hole. So you have in-house recruiters, which I'm an outside recruiter. You have in-house recruiters who already have their job. They are looking at resumes. They're being sent resumes from all these different channels. They are having to do that intro call. There's so much in the process now that people don't realize that you just might have been overlooked. So you need that recruiter. You need that right recruiter putting your resume in front of the person who's actually hiring, who's actually the one doing it. So I think that finding your right recruiter is amazing. And again, it's all through LinkedIn. That's where we all are.
So like that, and I want to explore that a little bit more in depth, is what are some, characteristics or some things people should be looking for to get that right fit with a recruiter?
Oh, that's a good one, because there's not always great recruiters. We have an awful name for a reason. Which actually I love, because it's so easy to be a good one. But so what you want to do is, when you can go in a search on LinkedIn, and you can put in, recruiter, and you can put in like what you do, for example, and that recruiter's profiles will pop up. So if any recruiter has less than 500 plus connections, not a good recruiter. If they don't have anything listed as far as like what they specialize in to show that they're like human, not a good recruiter. Now, what I suggest is coming up with some canned email, and you can send it out to a few or just connect with them, because that's super easy. Because once you connect to a recruiter, recruiters can look at your profile instantly and be like, okay, I'm either yes, going to match this person or no. So that's really simple. But when you connect with someone, you could also send a little, snippet, a little message. So you can say, hey, so-and-so, I'm pondering a change. I do X, Y, Z. In this location. If you had anything in mind, keep in touch, or reach out. Otherwise, keep in touch. So you can do that, and it's very quick, very easy. And then I suggest having either just a quick phone call with them for about 10 minutes, or if you just don't like the phone, whatever, then just, emails back and forth, and you can ask them like what they have. And if any recruiter is hesitant to send you information before speaking with you, that means they're just not a good recruiter. That means that they think people are out to get them and that they're going to steal their leads and like all these things. I am extremely transparent. I believe in you want to be the path of least resistance, because there's just so many good so many other recruiters out there, I should say, that why waste your time with someone that's going to give you a hard time? So I think it's definitely a personality fit as well.
I definitely would believe that your business is heavily revolving around relationships and relationship building.
Absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
If the person on the active end of that, i.e. the recruiter, is not being too active in building the relationship, to me that would be a red flag.
An issue, right? Yeah. Now, if the person has exactly the role or company you want, then by all means go through with it and just know that that is who it is, and use that person as your vessel, right?
Yeah.
But but only if they have the right thing. Otherwise, it's a mistake.
Awesome. So next, what I'd like to do is flip the coin on the other end and say, the leaders in their organization, they're at that senior role and they're looking for a hire. They're looking for the right fit within their organization, but they don't necessarily have the time to go about, finding the right person or necessarily even the connections. So what are some ways that they can use recruiters that help them achieve those goals?
Well, first things first with any hiring, because I notice a lot of companies make this problem, have this issue, is they don't actually know what they're looking for. They don't know why. It's a huge, but it's super common. They know that they need, this person to do this job, but they haven't nailed it down as to exactly what that person looks like. In theory, they're like, well, we just need this person to do X, but
right.
What else? So it's kind of annoying when people reach out and they say, okay, I really need this person to do this. Do you have them? I'm like, okay, how have you gone through the interviews? How long have you been looking for? Oh no, this is our first day. I don't touch it because they haven't failed on their own yet. So what's going to happen with me is they're going to use me as their guinea pig. And I'm not cool with that. It's just like a whole waste of time. Mm-hmm. So unless they've had at least, conversations as about what they're not looking for, or in-depth conversation about what they're looking for, it's a huge, huge waste of time. And then another one is, let's say this person needs this hire. Well, then you need to know, all right, what are we willing to compromise on? Because that's something too. Like right. You can't, find the perfect person could take you months and months and months, but can you find a person that doesn't have this and then mold and train them the way you want? And then all of a sudden they are your perfect person after a month or two, so there's all of those questions that need to be answered too. So I don't think a lot of people put enough thought into it as opposed to, oh my God, we need this person. So I think that's that first conversation that you do have, and you can have it with a recruiter. And if it's a good recruiter, they will ask you those questions. And if you don't know those answers, then that will put you in the spot and go back to the drawing board and, come back later. But yeah, it's very crucial to find that recruiter that does specialize in their field and really in that location, I think is another thing to ask. And, what's interesting is some companies want recruiters that work with their competitors because they get it. They know the space. And then some companies just don't want you to touch their competitors at all because they're kind of like, they get weird about it. Like you're competing. against the recruiter's candidates. So I think that's interesting too to think about. Do you want that specialized recruiter, or do you want a recruiter that's not specialized? Which I think is kind of silly, because you're going to have competition no matter what. So you might as well at least have someone in that pool, right?
Yeah. A couple interesting points. One thing I'd like to dig at a little bit deeper is that idea of a local recruiter. With today being such a virtual world, do you think it's still as necessary to have someone physically on the ground, or no. Can you achieve it like we're doing right now via Zoom and stuff?
Yeah, no. I didn't actually mean like they're in the location that your business is, meaning they specialize in recruiting for your area. So, for example, I live in Southern Cal.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I live in SoCal. I only do San Francisco Bay Area. That's it.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, so you still mean that geographic area still?
Exactly. I have companies from LA all the time because, I'm pretty close to it. And they're like, oh no, just, we need help here. I don't like that market. I just don't do it. And the San Francisco has treated me right for 12 years. So I'm there.
I guess from you as a business owner standpoint, what you're trying to do is build your brand around that local.
Exactly. Everybody knows. Yeah. Everybody knows who Techees is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't have to go make another mark. That's my mark.
Makes sense. Would you have any tips for people, companies out there who don't care about, their candidates being necessarily local, or, and are into hiring people who work distance or?
Oh, remote? Just remote workers in general?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? If you can handle and you have the infrastructure set up for remote work, I highly suggest you do remote work if you already have it in place, because there is a science to it. And then if that's the case and you guys can handle that, then I would only handle people that are currently working remote. Because I know a lot of people want to get into remote work, but if they have no experience in it, it's completely different. It would just be if you're outside all the time and now you have an office job, it's significant culture shock, I think. So remote workers are great, and it can save you a lot of money, and you can really reach a wider pool of talent. And what's cool, again, on LinkedIn, LinkedIn should be paying me right now, is that you can push that remote button, that are open to ops anywhere. And that's going to just open up such a greater pool. And not to mention, depending on where you are, I'm in California, so it's really expensive. But, I would love to get someone from, Oklahoma, where it's significantly cheaper. So there's all sorts of benefits to that.
Awesome. So as we're slowly winding down here, just got a few more last questions.
Sure.
Above everything else that we discussed today, what would be your best advice, your number one tip on people trying to get the attention of a recruiter to move forward in their career?
Oh, yeah. So obviously it's just all of those keywords, buzzwords and stuff, but it's a nice message, I think, just sending out directly to them. But it's also going to be people underestimate, I think, a picture, which is really strange. But, when you put a face to it and a smiling face, or at least something somewhat happy or something about your personality, it really helps, because what people don't realize is how many companies will tell you in great detail what their culture's like and what they expect from their people on that side of things. So you can find people to do the job, but are you going to find the person to gel nicely with what you already have in place? Because culture is just such a huge issue and such a big thing, especially in the Bay, that it's something people overlook and overthink. So I think that's a really important thing.
No, I love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. It's been a slice. I got one last question I ask all my guests here at Moving Forward Leadership, and that is to you, Brianna. What makes a great leader?
Ooh, I love that. Lead by example, first and foremost. I think that's super important, and you can't be afraid to do the things or willing to do the things that you're telling your other people to do. And you really have to make sure that you have an open mind, and you're not always right. You're not barking orders. You're really collaborating and working with them in order to motivate them to do what you want. And that's important.
Love it. Those things are literally in my ebook, The 9 Foundations of Leadership. And Lead by Example is literally written Lead by Example. So it's awesome. Brianna, it's been a slice. It's been great having you here. Final thing, I'm going to flip the mic over to you. Feel free to give yourself a shameless plug. Where can people find you? What your resources? How can they follow your journey? All that good stuff.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so my name is Brianna Rooney, and I am known as the Millionaire Recruiter. So you can go on themillionairerecruiter.com to check out, my e-course, my book, all that cool stuff, my journey, basically how I got there and how, you can do the same thing. And then my company that is turning 10 is Techees.com, Techees.com. And of course, add me on LinkedIn, Brianna Rooney.
And for you guys out there, as always, it's easy. Just go to the show notes, movingforleadership.com/79. And all those links are going to be in the show notes because I'm literally writing them as you speak. It's great having you here. Honestly, for the audience out there, if you are in the hunt for a new job, especially in the Bay Area, because believe it or not, I have a good solid base in the Bay Area. Nice. Of listeners. So, and you're in the tech booth, and if you're in Brianna, look her up, check her out and feel free to let her know it's because of this podcast. That would be,
I would love that.
It would make my day. It would literally make my day. My week, month, maybe even year. Who knows? No,
Ooh, now you're getting crazy.
I did have a son this year. Anyway.
Minor thing.
Yeah, just a little thing. Anyway, thanks for coming out, speaking to the audience, speaking to me all about the recruiting and process, and especially your leadership journey and your leadership struggles that you come across because it's something real, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe in just passing that on, pay it forward, learn from other people's mistakes. You're still going to make your own, but you might as well learn.
Absolutely. Great. All right, Brianna, take care.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that interview between Brianna and I. I know I did. And again, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget R², S². Rate and review the show so that, other people can find the show and I can help more people get noticed and expand their leadership capabilities and move forward with their careers. Just like today's episode in helping you get noticed by recruiters today with Brianna. S, share. Share this episode with someone who you think or is looking to get noticed by a recruiter, or is looking to fill a vacancy. And you know what? Maybe they can use the help of a recruiter to fill that vacancy. And then finally, subscribe. Subscribe to the show so that you never miss another episode. And you can do that simply by going to movingforleadership.com/subscribe. That's it for this week, folks. As always, stop bossing and start leading. Take care now.